Good afternoon. Today I'll be sharing with you the accomplishments of vaccines as well as its tie-in with the autism controversy, which I will cover later in the speech. I chose this topic because although I am an IT major, like the rest of my family is either doctors or nurses, and being around them all the time kind of rubbed off on me because I was interested in this topic. So, for my first point, what is a vaccine? Vaccines are these preparations that give us immunity to these life-threatening diseases. So there are two types of diseases. The first type is a live or attenuated vaccine, which are weakened microbes that are weakened in the lab, so they can't cause these diseases, and that they are hard to create and they can't really cause the disease if they are injected in you. And the second type is inactivated microbes, which they are killed with either radiation, heat, or chemicals. So this is a list of diseases that we are immune against when you get your vaccinations. Some of them you might recognize, such as influenza, polio, mumps, measles. The ones that are bolded in orange are the ones that you usually get within your first 18 months of being alive. So vaccinations are considered one of the most greatest medical accomplishments that ever happened. Before vaccinations were introduced, many millions of people would die because of these diseases each year in the United States alone. So on the left you can see this is the death rate from these diseases before the vaccination era, and then on the right is after. So some of these diseases were completely wiped out after the implementation of vaccinations, such as polio and smallpox. You can never see those cases anymore, which is another good accomplishment of vaccination. So this is a chart that was created by the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control, and it shows when you should get your shots within the first 18 months of your life and onward, and when children should get their shots. So by law, most states, for schools, they are required to get these shots in order to attend schools. George Mason is one of them. You need to submit an immunization record to attend. And just for a fun fact, healthcare workers, they must be vaccinated as well. So this is a graph to show you how vaccinations have helped stop these diseases. One of them is measles. You can see that the rate of measles was high, like in the 1950s and backward. And in 1963, when vaccinations were licensed, you can see that the cases of measles went down incredibly. And then there's another one right here, which is the reduction of hemophilus with the vaccination, which was introduced. And then there were less than 300 cases in the 2000. So there's another viewpoint that vaccinations are actually bad for you and they can cause some effects, such as autism is one that's commonly criticized with vaccinations, but so there's a debate going on. So autism is an early childhood disability that affects the learning as well as social skills. Autism spectrum disorder, so it also affects your social skills, speech, and behavior. They are diagnosed by clinicians, neurologists, therapists, and physical therapists. And in the past, over 20 years ago, these people would be classified as mentally retarded and not ill. So there is a anti-vaccine activist, one that you've heard before, is Jenny McCarthy. She believes that her son Evan got autism because of the MMR vaccine, which is for measles, mumps, and rubella. Her and her former husband, Jim Carrey, are part of this movement, which are to stop the vaccinations and to raise awareness for autism. So that raises the question, do vaccinations cause autism? And there were some cases that were conducted to find this out. In 2001, there was a theory that thimerosal was a chemical in the MMR vaccine they believed that caused autism. So in 2001, the United States took this out of the vaccine, but after that, the cases of autism still rose, so they knew it wasn't possible. So that's another theory. And then there was another theory that was conducted in Yokohama, Japan, where after the removal of the MMR vaccine, 6 years after that, there were still cases of autism, and it still rose. And there are the ramifications of vaccinations. If we got rid of vaccinations, most of these diseases that we got rid of would likely to come back, such as there's this whooping cough that went around. You don't really see that many cases of it, but like if we did remove vaccinations, then it would come back in great numbers. So, in conclusion, I went over how vaccinations had great accomplishments, how it was related to autistic spectrum disorder, and how these studies have proven that vaccinations are still needed around to stop these diseases. So, thank you.